Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. I wanted to do a vlog for you today, and more so, these vlogs have been reserved for something big shifting in my life. Usually external things. I smile because as I continue to explain, you will see that this is actually a pretty big shift, but it's internal instead of external. So I have, if you follow me, if you've been part of this community, I was sick for a couple of weeks, better last week, but still energetically just feeling slower. And of course, I have a tendency to try to do a lot. I am a Capricorn rising and a Aries sun. So drive and motivation and ambition have never been lacking for me. And it's challenging as a Capricorn rising because I enjoy my work. I love my work. And so what happens is, for many people, work is very separate from the thing that they do to nourish themselves. It's separate from their joy or their interest or the thing they do for fun. And for me, the thing I do for fun many times is my work. And that can be a challenge because I have a tendency to continue to keep going. And that is fine. And that is something I will continue to work through. But it came to a point where it was no longer fun. And it wasn't not fun. It was just something that I was telling myself I had to do. And so I obviously run this channel. I also am a coach. I market through Facebook as well. I am also obviously working with clients, creating courses, managing the New Earth Construction Team community, which is relatively new, but suffered in its launch because I got sick right at the beginning. I often started to feel that there was just a lot of balls in the air. Oh, add to that, I'm a single mother of 3 kids and also getting a master's degree in psychology. So wearing a lot of hats, doing a lot of things, and many of those things bring me joy. And it's interesting because I'm feeling the activation even now. And so I got sick. I couldn't talk. Every time I did try to talk, I would have a coughing fit. My body said, enough. We are putting a break on things here. And so, as you noticed, I did not post much over the last 2 weeks. And that was good until about Wednesday last week when I got an email from my brain spotting trainer that said, hey, looking forward to seeing you on Friday. We've got our training this weekend. And of course, the best trainer in the world is out of the UK. And so their training time is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. UK time, which is 3 a.m. to 12 noon for me. So adding just another layer to the already full bucket. And it was interesting to kind of go into it hesitant and even maybe resistant, if I'm honest with myself. I didn't want another thing. I was ready for some time to relax over the weekend, and I felt that was taken away from me. And of course, as with everything, it was exactly what I needed, which you never would have imagined, right? That's just how Source works, right? The thing you think you need is the opposite of what you actually get, which ends up being the thing you actually needed. And yes, while it was difficult to get up that early, there were so many profound moments that needed to be processed. And the beauty of brain spotting training is that you are not just learning it at a cognitive level, because brain spotting is a somatic experience. It has to be experienced. It's not just something that you can contemplate or learn cognitively. And so we are taught the thing, then we are demonstrated the thing, and then we go in and do the thing. And so it is very interactive. And of course, what was top of mind for me was just feeling really tired, feeling really overwhelmed, and being honest with the fact that I felt that I had created limitations for myself, that by adding so many things to my plate, I felt that I had nowhere to turn. There was too much for me to be able to be balanced in my self-care, in my rest, and yet feeling it's a sort of a rock and a hard place feeling from a very good place, which is kind of confusing because I love making videos. I love making content. I love my clients. I love helping. I love serving. I love my free healing sessions. I love my master's in psychology. I love all these things. I want to do them all. But physically, I cannot. And I had created very rigid daily structures. There has to be a daily video, and I have to post daily on Facebook, and I have to offer at least one free session a day. And those are choices, right? Those are beliefs that I chose to believe, that if I don't post on YouTube every day, that it won't grow, or that we won't reach as many people, or we won't help as many people, or whatever the reason is behind that. That was a choice. And I choose to believe that I have to do these launches every 8 weeks, which is a free masterclass. It takes a lot of time and energy for me to organize. I choose to believe that I can only justify charging for my coaching and my courses if I give away a certain amount of free sessions. If I make sure that I offer something so cheap and so accessible to everyone, like the New Earth Construction team, that there is a questioning in that. There is a belief that it is not right or somehow wrong to not do these things or to do these things. And so the beauty of this weekend, it's like brain spotting on steroids to not only brain spot multiple times in a day, but to do it at 3 a.m. or whatever time it ends up being. It's so beautiful. I know that I say this every time I do a vlog, or I do a sort of a recap, or a capture. What I really want to do is I want to capture that moment. I want to share with you how amazing this modality is. And it's not inaccessible. It's not something far away. This is an ability that we as humans innately have been given, that we were not taught how to understand or how to utilize. And what happens is you sit down and you are engaging with this other person, and the first question is, what would you like to work on today? And sometimes sometimes you don't, and sometimes it just requires a little bit of exploration and kind of talking through what's top of mind for you. What are you dealing with in your life right now? And so to go in and to say, I don't understand why I know in my prefrontal cortex that I have to have a balanced life. I have to meet those physical needs. I have to have self-care. I have to have downtime. I have to have breaks. I am a projector from the human design perspective. I need alone time. I need quiet time. I need space in between. And I know these things. And yet that subconscious limbic brain still has a little bit of that hypervigilance in it. Still has that belief that you have to work hard. You have to do all the things. You have to justify. You have to earn. And it's so subtle. It's not something that I saw. And that's the beauty of brain spotting. That's the beauty of humanity, is we are the mirror for the other. And we can't see these things that hang out in our blind spot when we are alone, when we are working, when we are in that hustle culture. I cannot find the words strong enough to explain how toxic hustle is, because it's in the stillness. Everything we seek is in the stillness. The hustle is the opposite of the stillness. And what came through probably session 3 of brain spotting for multiple days in a row was that Lao Tzu quote that nature does not hustle, and yet everything is accomplished. And it is so beautiful and so freeing. Oh, the freedom from that belief that we've got to fix something. We got to do something. We got to earn. We got to accomplish. We got to achieve. We got to prove. We got to justify. We got to chase. We got to run. None of it is true. Another beautiful insight that came through. This beautiful, beautiful woman who was processing some self-love concerns. It started with body image and really ended up tying in with judgment from others. And, again, this belief that we have to be something to be worthy. And if others don't embrace or accept what we are, we then take on their voice. We judge and criticize ourselves. We believe them to be the authority or somehow right. And after about 40 minutes of brain spotting, she got to that place of really understanding what true love felt like. And I have never been more grateful to be an empath and a highly sensitive to be able to tap into what she was feeling. And I can't imagine it must have been even more powerful for her. But she used such beautiful words to describe what real love feels like. And it's going to make me cry. This is interesting. That even in that, right, that there has been a time where I judge myself for being a big feeler. I judge myself for crying, right? Coming from the corporate world, oh, you don't cry, right? Having to suppress that. And I don't have to do that anymore. Because I don't judge myself anymore. And that was how she described it. And I've wondered, have you ever wondered, what does real love feel like? We talk about source and creator as the source of love. And when people feel one with the creator, they just feel that ultimate feeling of love. And I've always wondered, what does that feel like? What am I striving for? Cognitive brain wants to know, what does good look like? And I finally saw that this weekend. That real love is the absence of judgment. It's the absence of resistance to what is. I think it's Brene Brown that says, love what is. Loving what is the work. People say, do the work, right? To love what is, to let it be, to not judge it, to criticize it, to try to change it, to be in resistance to it. And it was profound for me in many ways. And it's really fascinating when you go through the brain spotting, especially for a full hour of just processing really intensely, or more. In some cases, it was an hour and a half. How you realize that a solution to a thing solves many things. That for this woman who was working through the challenges around her physical body image, that non-judgment, that loving what is, seeing the beauty in what is, it healed not just the self-image or the rejection of self or the criticism of self and the worry of what others think. That was what it did for her. But it may have healed relationships for me. And not just external relationships, but my relationship with myself, my relationship with my own body, relationship to life, to source. I also like to journal. So of course, after all of this brain spotting and so much processing, I had to really put it on paper. And I think one of the most beautiful things, a realization, I talk a lot about oneness and how we can know that we are one with source. We can know that we're one with the divine. But again, it's a cognitive knowing and not a cellular bodily embodiment. And as we continue to strive towards realizing our oneness, embodying our oneness, it's baby steps. It happens daily. It's something we continue to move towards as long as we hold that conscious focus and intention. And so one of the realizations, call it a download, whatever, the thing I heard in my head was, because you see me as beautiful, so are you. And what that was meaning was that I was starting to see how beautiful life can be when we put down the resistance to what is. We're no longer pitting ourselves against life. We are flowing with life. That you start to see how beautiful it is, how beautiful life is, how beautiful source is, our creator. And it's almost overwhelming, because the beauty that we see in he, she, it, they, them, and all that is a reflection of our own beauty. To love ourselves in that way, to feel the love that we have for source, that we have for our brother, our husband, our daughter, our son. To know that love. There's nothing more to seek. There's nothing more to strive for. The inner child is a big portion of what came up this past weekend. It doesn't always have to be how brain spotting goes, although in a lot of my work, if you work for me with a 6-month contract, we will touch in on inner child at some point. It's inevitable. It's absolutely critical. But it was really fascinating to see how that was a very strong theme for everyone in the group this past weekend, or at least the people that I know of. And what you realize is that the inner child, the wounded inner child, has a belief, usually in the vein of not enough, right? I'm not enough. The world's not enough. There is never enough, right? It's a lack mentality. And depending on your survival mechanism, whether you fight or you run or you fawn or you freeze, that tendency will show up in such subtle, subversive ways in every aspect of your life. In relationships, in business, in health, in finances, what else is there? There's usually the 5 core things that we are trying to shift and change in our lives. And what I encourage you to notice, and what I guess maybe I'd rather rephrase that, what I encourage myself to pay attention to now going forward, is those areas where I strive, where I find myself efforting, where there is a desire to change what is likely being impacted by the wounded inner child's belief that something is not enough. To get really intimate, to share a lot of who I am, and to be fully vulnerable and honest about my story. My father was a minister, and pretty sure narcissistic, very, very controlling. had a belief that the world was not safe. And so we were always kept in very close proximity to the church. At one point, our house was right next to the church. And those were the only two places I really spent very much time. I was either at church or at home. And when I went to school, it was in the church. And many times the church school was very, very small. I was lucky if there was ever a child my age in the school. So I didn't have a lot of friends. And so I would spend a lot of time at home, in my room. Sometimes I played with my siblings, but my brother always blew the toilet seat off my Barbie's house. So, I would prefer to be alone in my room. And it's also the projector in me. But what I didn't realize was, while feeling alone, feeling trapped, feeling caged, feeling isolated was uncomfortable and undesirable, it was my familiar. And it's very easy. This is how you know we're working with the subconscious brain, because it doesn't really make sense. Very easy for the limbic brain, the subconscious brain, the trauma brain to recreate that scenario because it's familiar, and familiarity is deemed safe, even though it's not safe. And so the conundrum is the desire, the wanting to escape causes striving, causes more effort in fixing the problem, escaping the problem. But it is that exact action that creates the prison, which causes isolation, loneliness, the feeling of being trapped, all of those familiar things that I tried to escape. So now I'm not sure if you can follow me on that. I'm going to say it maybe slightly differently just to make sure it makes sense. So the trauma of being isolated and alone and feeling trapped became the program. It is the subconscious program that the limbic brain understands as familiar and therefore safe. What that does, though, is creates a trauma response of hypervigilance, striving and efforting to run away from this place that feels triggering, because feeling trapped is a trigger. So then that hypervigilance, the response to the trigger, then creates more of the same. So I'm running, trying to escape the feeling trapped, the feeling of being in an undesirable place that I can't get out of. So then I strive and effort and fight and run. And in that striving and efforting and fighting and running, I create the prison that makes me feel trapped. You see the vicious cycle. So that is just my example. And the beauty is consciousness, awareness of, and the processing, the removal of that belief that there's something to run from, allows us to be aware of the behavior, to stop it, and also remove the subconscious program that will continue to hang out in my blind spot and create more of the same. It's such a beautiful gift. I think that's all I have to share with you today. So I guess what this means going forward is that I am not going to be committed to a daily schedule. It might happen 5 days a week. It might happen 7 days a week. It might happen 2 days a week. And I know that that's not good for the YouTube algorithm, but I can't take that as a priority over my health, my well-being, my stillness, my connection to source. That has to be the priority. And I will trust that, just like nature, I will not rush, and yet everything will be accomplished. So I don't know what that looks like going forward. If you're not subscribed, probably want to click that bell because that's going to be how you're going to know I'm going to show up. Beyond that, I will be here for you in some capacity. And I do want you to know, if you're still watching after 26 minutes, you're likely one of those people who need me to show up for you. And maybe you wouldn't say I need you, but I feel a responsibility to you. And I'm committed to showing up for you. So I will be here, one way or the other. All right. I think that's all for today. I love you guys. I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Love on yourself. Drop the judgment. Drop the resistance. Come to the other side. Brain spotting works. All right. Love you guys. Bye.